Welcome back, Wolfpack Verlis here. This is how you use Gyarados and Mega Gyarados. Looking at Mega Gyarados' stats, we kind of see what the direction of this Pokemon is. Incredible amounts of attack and incredible amounts of bulk. Now, regular Gyarados to Mega Gyarados didn't gain any speed, so it's just going to be a very bulky Pokemon. Now, I only did the stat chart for Mega Gyarados, but don't worry, we're going to talk about Gyarados as well, because both of these Pokemon, both variants, can be run very strongly. That if you want to save your Mega, you can have it on another Pokemon, still run a very strong Gyarados, or you can have Mega Gyarados and really mess with your opponent. That the Water Flying typing on Gyarados is going to leave you weak to Rock and Electric, give you a lot of resistances though, and help out with your bulk, as well as that ground immunity. But the key of using Gyarados and Mega Gyarados is knowing when to transition into Mega Gyarados. That you become immune to Psychic types, you gain a lot more weaknesses, but you do trade off the 4 times weakness to Electric for 2 times weakness, and a whole bunch of changes. Like, going from Flying type to Dark type really changes a lot of the dynamic of Gyarados. So I mean, you can try to just fake out your opponent really well or transition at the right time, and you're still going to have an incredible amount of strength. That when we hop into Pokemon Showdown, here's my way of running Gyarados, that I like the incredible amounts of bulk backed by a very strong Dragon Dance. That the way I see it, max out the hit points, put a lot of investment to defense, rest into special defense because that's where most of your weaknesses are, and play the Dragon Dance game. That with this, you become a 3-hit KO Pokemon, so it's fairly easy to set up 2 Dragon Dances in some case, and then just wreck your opponents with an incredible amount of speed that they can't touch, almost 400 speed at level 100, and then over 700 attack. It's going to hurt. So after that, you go with coverage like Earthquake, Waterfall, Ice Fang, and you're good, and you can just have a very strong setup from there. I was thinking that with this, Adamant Nature is going to give you a good amount of bulk to be boosted by Dragon Dance, but at the same time, I was also thinking that a special defensive nature could work just as well. Go with the Careful Nature, and then that way you could actually drop some speed, or drop some special defense points, and then put the rest in defense and get a lot of stats overall. And you can get just even tankier and even easier to set up the Dragon Dance. So that's how I like to play my Mega Gyarados, just a really tanky, annoying, bulky kind of Pokemon. After that, you can just run regular Gyarados kind of the same way. That I like going for a mixed bulk on Gyarados. That you can give yourself a good amount of hit points, give yourself a good amount of attack, Adamant Nature again. And with this, I like speed, because this is going to make it to where that you get 1 Dragon Dance off, and you're going to have a high amount of outspeed on most of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you can follow up with Waterfall, Ice Fang for coverage, and Taunt. Another thing that I forgot to mention about Gyarados and the Mega Gyarados, you have the Intimidate ability. Now you can also run Moxie, but I prefer Intimidate. You lower your opponent's attack, and then you can bring in Gyarados, which is why you could also just get away with having the Adamant Nature and lower defenses, because you're already going to be making your opponent lose attack. So however you want to distribute that, you can, and it's going to be very strong. Also, Gyarados, both Mega and regular Gyarados, can play incredible defensive bulk. That you just go with that Careful Nature, put the rest into hit points in defense, and now you're going to be a very tough Pokemon to knock out, especially with the Intimidate, especially with the special defensive bulk. And with this, you can run very annoying. That you can put on leftovers and just kind of be a substitute stall Pokemon. Throw out the Toxic, roar your opponents around, use Waterfall for coverage, and you can chip in a little damage while just being something that's hard to expect. That if you get a free substitute while they're setting up, you can turn that around really hard with Roar, Toxic, and Waterfall. Other ways is, you could also just go high speed, high attack, go for that 1 Dragon Dance, that instead of really trying to like push the limits of going for 2 or 3, that you just Mega Evolve, go for the Dragon Dance, boost up your speed, have a monstrous amount of attack, go for whatever coverage you feel necessary, and boom, just like that, just ruin your opponent's day, is how I see a setup like this. Dragon Dance on Gyarados is what makes it so strong, that you get 1 Dragon Dance, you have the bulk to survive it, then you just go and destroy everything else. Also, I was thinking that with Gyarados' setup, you could go for the absolute comedy. With this, go with the well-rounded defensive setup. You could also, again, since you have the Intimidate, put some points around, try to balance it, and then just go with Dragon Tail, Dragon Dance, Sleep Talk, and Rest. That rest-talking Dragon Tail makes it to where if you Sleep Talk into the Dragon Tail, you can hit your opponent before they have a chance to make a move. Now, I see this being a very good bulk set to try this one out on, because if you're Dragon Dancing and you Sleep Talk into a Dragon Tail, you're going to outspeed your opponent after 1 or 2 Dragon Dances, and then Dragon Tail means huge amount of boosted damage on the Dragon Tail. Even though it only has 60 base power, if you're using Dragon Dance, it's going to get a lot of offenses with that attack, and now you're going to be removing potentially a third of your opponent's health before they even have a chance to move or attack, and they lose their turn from this setup, and you're getting bulk from the rest and sleep talk that if they can't 2-hit KO you or 3-hit KO you, they're in trouble. And that's a really amazing way to play this, that if you have stealth rocks or spikes or some form of entry hazard, you can just kind of sweep out your opponent with Dragon Tail's rest talking, and it's absurd. Also, even more ways to run Gyarados. Like, look at all this. We have offensive, we have defensive, we have sub, we have sleep talk. Gyarados has so much bulk in offensive options that it can really do whatever your team wants or however mean you want to be. Do you want to just be a setup guy, or do you want to go all out? And then we have this set. This is probably one of the more annoying sets that you might encounter on Gyarados, that you give a good amount of you just give a decent amount of attack, you go for the Dragon Dance, and then you hide behind Bounce. That you pretty much set up a substitute and go into Bounce. That Leftovers is going to heal up quite a bit. And with the stab that you're getting on regular Gyarados for the Bounce, it's going to do a good amount of damage. The only problem is the 85 accuracy. Pretty much you're going to set up a substitute. If they don't break it, you bounce. They can't break your sub. You have a good chance of scoring KO. And you get 2 turns of Leftovers, so if they don't 2-hit, 3-hit KO, you're getting another substitute. And if you can work in a Dragon Dance, go into Bounce Waterfall, huge amounts of damage and coverage and stab, your opponent's day is done, just from something super gimmicky like this. So, Gyarados can be the king of gimmicks with these 2 sets, can Mega, can transition, can get an incredible amount of stab, has ice coverage, can use Taunt if it wants to be a fast Pokemon. Like, Taunt Gyarados has shut down my teams a lot before, that I like using Pokemon like Snorlax, Klefki that's set up, and Gyarados just goes, nope, Taunt, oh, what's that, free turn, Dragon Dance, what's that, Waterfall, Ice Fang, boosted, damage, done. Gyarados is strong. Why am I not using Gyarados? Why aren't you using Gyarados? Go use Gyarados. I told you guys to use Mega Pinsir. Gyarados, do it. And Tauros. Freaking this Pokemon's awesome. Have a nice day, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.